Good morning, traders. Welcome back to another pre-market watch list here today. So thank you guys again for tuning in. So I think today is going to be a pretty crazy day. All right, pretty crazy, especially with the huge gap down on Netflix. So all in all today, majority of what I'm going to do is probably play Netflix all day long. All right. Netflix in general, when it gaps down 60 points, $60 a share, you can't help but think that's going to be the main play for the day. So good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we're probably going to watch Netflix, and that will probably be the main trade for the day. There's a few other tickers that I will mention, but all in all, Netflix is probably going to be the #1 stock that I personally trade today. Then there's a few others that I'll mention that aren't in the headline of the video, but let's get going on it as always. All right. Here we are. So I will come back to this one here in a second, but absolutely, Felix, no problem. So we'll start with Netflix since this is going to probably be the main play for me today. So Netflix earnings after hours drops from 403 all the way down to 342. So it basically dropped $60 a share. Let's trade instead of watching Netflix all day. Oh, okay. Well, for one, Netflix dropped 60 points after hour. If you go to a yearly chart, you'll see that Netflix dropped down to a previous resistance, or I guess you could say previous support right here, and that's exactly where it's kind of hovering at. You can't see it on this chart. Let me do a 180-day 4-hour chart. So 180-day 4-hour chart, there it is right there. You can see it drop down to 340s, which is a previous kind of resistance that was hitting back from a few months ago. That there is holding up a good support today. So all in all, for me, it would be very surprising to see Netflix drop below 340 today. It might do it in coming days, but today to see Netflix drop below 340 would be very surprising. So I'm going to be watching Netflix long. And the reason being is I know for a fact a lot of people shorted it after hours. And I know some more people are probably shorting it today, which runs a strong chance of it actually squeezing to the upside. So think about that. I mean, that's a huge drop after hours. It has a nice support built at 340. So you can see it dropped to 340 there, and it could not break 340 and just sidelined. Not to mention there's a previous support of 340 from the past. So I think we're going to end up seeing Netflix have a little bit of an early morning squeeze where we're actually going to see it kind of do something like this and start popping up early in the morning, and then it will then come back down. So since this is a gap down, there's no way that Netflix is going all the way back to 400. That is not going to happen. No, not happening. All right. What we probably are going to see here is an early morning squeeze up to 360. Right about this 360 price point, and then more short sellers are then going to come in and probably push that price down. All right. Let's say it did in fact break 360 here earlier in the morning. We then might see it kind of pop to 365, which you can see is this kind of, you see how it dropped and had this little spike here right in this area. That would kind of be the next resistance we might see Netflix get to today, right in that area. But for me, I think we're going to see it pop closer to 360s, and then we're going to start seeing it roll over and fail once again. Yeah. So I myself was using my Robinhood account, and I actually took one contract call hoping that they'd go up. And of course, that didn't happen, and they actually dropped. So I basically lost $180 overnight from doing one option call. Which is fine. I mean, I was like, yeah, but now when I do it, hindsight 2020, I should have done basically you should have done a strangle. I should have strangled it and did a call and a put, but hindsight 2020, I know for the next time. Yeah. So There's my thesis there on Netflix. I think we're going to see an early morning pop closer to 360, and then we're going to see it drop back down and start approaching towards the 350s to 340s, okay? So, Mark, you can play it both ways, right? If it does start squeezing, you could take it long and then you could wait to short it, right? You could do it both ways. You could play the long and then play the short, whatever you feel comfortable with doing. For most, it'd probably be easier just to wait for the short because a short squeeze would happen really fast, where if it does pop up and squeeze to 360, you'd have the whole time that it's popping up to get ready to short. So consider that too. All right, next one on the list that I will talk about is IQ. So the reason I'm talking about IQ is because of this big drop after hours. Now, in the way that I'm seeing this is IQ is a similar, they do similar things as Netflix, but in China. So I think this big drop from $37 to like $35 after hours was actually somewhat of a sympathy play to Netflix. So I think we're actually going to see IQ kind of pop to this 35.75, and then it's going to reject, and we're going to short it. So we're going to be looking to short IQ today right around this 35.75 price point because, well, for one, yesterday that was the breakout level, then a bounce level. And then today, pre-market, it's holding resistance there too. So you have 1, 2, 3 signals saying that 35.75 is a resistance. So I'm going to look to short off the 35.75 mark today. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to watch IQ short around this 35.75. Next one on the list that we will talk about is CLRB. All right, CLRB, if you're not familiar, the stock went from 80 cents all the way to $14.50. Now, if you look at the news, so if you come down here and you actually read the news on it, there is very positive news that the company CLRB had a 94% reduction in overall tumor volume in one cancer patient for their phase 2 clinical study. So they're midway through the trial, and they have a 94% reduction rate on tumor volume for one cancer patient. So that's pretty big news. But I honestly don't think it's just based on what we're seeing here. I mean, we have popped up, hit 14, dropped down, higher low. I personally don't honestly think this is going to have all that great of a day. I could be wrong, of course, but I just don't. I think this big push, I think it's just going to get sold off. I think we're just going to see a massive sell-off on CLRB. So I would honestly be a little short bias on this stock altogether. Now, if you look at a yearly chart, the yearly chart shows that it has a 52-week high of 206. But if you go back as far as 3 years, you'll see that the price of the stock was once $38. If you go back as far as 10 years or even 15 years, you'll see that the price of the stock was once $92. So there's a lot of overhead buyers that may have been holding this stock for a long, long time. Right? If someone bought here at 92 and never sold, or someone bought here at 39, never sold, or someone bought here at 18, never sold, or someone bought here at 10, never sold, there's a chance that there's a lot of people that are just waiting to sell this or are going to start selling this because they've been holding the bag on the stock for a long, long time. All right. So I honestly think that CLRB is going to see a big sell-off. But I could be wrong, and we could have a nice squeeze on it. So watch this both long and both short. Currently, we have a price of $10 holding support. Right? We have 2 bounces on $10. So if $10 can hold support today at the gates or when we open, yeah, I think then we'll pop up to retest the high of $14.50. All right, and that's just it. Do not try and buy this long over $14.50 because the price right now is like $10. So you'd have to wait $4 a share for your entry price. So something like this, you'd have to be watching it around this $10 price point, okay? To do a 15-year chart, you just go to your time frame. once you go to the your time access and you go to time frame, then you can just change it to the date you would like. So for me personally, CLRB is more of a short bias trade. I don't think that this is going to hold up very, very well. Okay. And they also had a reverse split recently as well, 1 to 10. You're right. Now, that's CLRB. I don't think CLRB is going to have that great of a day. All right. Now, next one on the list is AMRH. This was a penny stock that started popping up this morning. And it's already starting to fade out, but you can watch this. It might be okay if it can break over this downward trend line resistance. So if for whatever reason AMRH kind of does this, travels down and then starts breaking over the trend line, then you might get a pop. But if it stays below this trend line, it's going to downtrend. But I would only take an entry on AMRH if it can successfully break over the downward trend line that it's made from pre-market trading. All right. So, so with that being said, AMRH, not that great of a stock, in my opinion, for today. All right. So CLRB, big penny stock this morning that popped up. AMRH, another penny stock that popped up this morning. Neither one of them look honestly very, very amazing to me, but I do believe if AMRH can break over this trend line, we can see a nice pop. CLRB, it'll be an interesting trade today. It's going to be very risky if you do trade it, so just be a little careful there. GBR, let me see. I know I looked at this earlier. Yeah, GBR is too low on volume for me to really trade. Now, I will talk about a few other ones here. I'm going to run through a few stocks real fast. So J&J, which is Johnson & Johnson, they had their earnings report today. It's gapping up. So you could watch this one as a back burner. So all the stocks that I'm about to talk about right now are all stocks that I'm just simply keeping on watch, but most likely won't trade unless they really provide some good opportunity. All right. So for one is J&J. They had earnings. Goldman Sachs had their earnings today as well. GS, they had their earnings. United Health, they had their earnings today and they're gapping down. And I think that's basically it for me. And then there's also this stock I will mention, INNT. INNT was a stock that went from $22 yesterday to a low of $7. This today might have a recovery pop. So watch INNT possibly long, just because of the massive sell-off yesterday from 22 to a low of $7. I think there might be a little bit of a squeeze and a little bit of a long play on INNT today. All right. I will touch here on I'm going to touch here on JNUG. So JNUG is down towards the $13 support. So this is a stock that we're definitely looking at swing trading. Now, just because it's at $13 and that support level does not mean it will not break below 13. We've seen JNUG break 13 multiple times. It broke $13 there. It broke 13 multiple times there. Again, there, and there, and there, and there. So it's broken 13 multiple times, but it is getting down to an area of support where it would not be a bad idea to start considering this for a possible swing trade. All right, so keep JNUG on watch. A good entry for JNUG would probably be around 13 and then look to sell somewhere up towards 14s and even 15s. So that's just it. I mean, there's really not much more to JNUG other than the fact it's at this 13 price point. It still has a very, very sharp downtrend. All right, if you look at it, the downtrend is very, very significant. What I mean is every time it pops like this, it sells off. Pop, sell off, pop, sell off, hitting the trend line, sell off, hits the trend line, sells off. So what we need is JNUG to break that trend line. That's what we need. We need JNUG to break through that trend line to the upside, and that's going to be probably the ideal entry point for JNUG. All right. Other than that, those are all the stocks that that I'm really watching here today. Other than that, I don't really need to watch too much more. I mean, Netflix alone will create probably enough opportunity to make money for the trading day. JNUG, we'll see what it does around this $13 price point. Sure, I'll take a quick look at AMD. I'll probably look at a few here, but I won't do too much more than that. So AMD up to 1650. No, that's bad. That doesn't make sense. So AMD, what's up here? Yeah, AMD, I'd be short biased. Yesterday, it squeezed really hard, sold off, and now it's kind of popping up to a resistance. So if I were to draw a resistance line here, you'll see AMD is right at some resistance, right? So from a couple days ago, this kind of chop. Okay, so I would expect AMD is probably going to see a little bit of a sell-off today and then maybe have a bounce somewhere at the $16.20 area. So I'd watch JNUG most likely, AMD. I'd watch AMD most likely short today. That'd be my 2 cents there on that stock. Thoughts on MU? I'll take a look at MU. MU up to 57 yesterday, sold off greatly by the end of the day. Up here. Wait, 604. That was. Hold on 1 second. 57.18. 57.18. 57.18. 57.18. 57.18. Okay, so yesterday Micron ran into resistance from all these lows. All these low points here. This consolidation bouncing area, that is the resistance that it basically ran into yesterday. MU, that is. So personally, I don't trade MU all the time, and it always is a little goofy. I would just be, for me, I wouldn't be buying. I wouldn't even really be shorting it. I would just be neutral on it. It's not really, because it's not at any extremes. It's not at highs. It's not at lows. It's not on a dip. It's right in the middle. So right now is just neutral. There's really nothing to MU. Again, the only time you really ever want to be trading a stock or taking entries or sellings is if it's at a low, or if it's at a high, or if it's at a pivotal moment, right? Or a peak, or, So right now it's just in the middle. So there's really, for me, there's not much to MU. It's just a neutral stock right now. I never hold a penny stock overnight. Absolutely not. Jennifer, that would be in our live trading room, which is so Jennifer Smith, to find our live trading room, you'd have to join into the first link of the description of the video. All right, guys, other than that, that's all I have for you today. Thank you guys again for tuning in. As always, the first description in the link of this video is where you can join me and a few of our other team members to trade live. We send out alerts throughout the day. We go live through the market. We have a trading course. We do live classes 2 times a week to speed up your learning process. We have a huge community of traders. So all in all, everything you need to do to stay in touch with me and trading is all in the description of the videos. So thank you guys once again for tuning in. And if you can, do give me a thumbs up before you head out the door, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. All right, take care, stay green, most importantly.